Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aha Moments radio show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide. I'm Mari, and happy Tuesday. I don't know, Sam, why our intro didn't start. It was supposed to start. But anyway, our music is doing something very, very strange. It must be like this Mercury in retrograde thing. But today is the last day. Tomorrow. Wait, no, it isn't. Oh, God. Just look at the calendar. I guess it's in 2 days. I guess Thursday. But the point is that things are going to be getting easier, at least energetically, as we get further along into the week and into next week and thereafter. Things are really going to start to feel better. And like I said last week, if you've been feeling really heavy and crazy, it's okay. Not you, most of it anyway. And things should be smoothing out. Now, one of the things that is happening, though, is since we just had a big full moon last week and the eclipse season is over for 2016. Yay, that's great. But now we're in a waning moon. So the waning moon is when things get, like we get less and less moonlight each day. And as we do that, it's sort of a pullback. It's still like the tide is out. So we have about 2 weeks. And this is not to tell you, I'm not saying this so that you can get discouraged, slow down what you're doing and all that. But we have about 2 weeks of the waning moon, and then when we go into the next waxing moon, at the next new moon, okay, probably towards the end of the month, the next new moon, then you're going to really feel that fall harvest. You're going to feel it now because we're going to get rid of Mercury in retrograde, and then we have to get through the shadows and all that. And this waning moon, and you're going to feel that big thrust of energy starting once we finish Mercury retrograde at the end of the week. But you'll feel like comfortable in your own skin again and really charging ahead once we get into that next waxing moon, because then we won't have the Mercury in retrograde and the eclipses and all that stuff weighing it. So all systems go. So what do you do now? You prepare. You clean up your act with your manifesting, which is why I wanted to talk about our topic tonight, which is, are you getting in the way of what you really want? And you want to kind of clean up your act. And I've been doing this with my advanced classes and my private clients, really sort of digging into, and myself personally, really sort of digging into what can I do, what can we do to kind of clean out our energetic closets and prepare for where we're going to put all the stuff that we're harvesting through the fall. And, this is really a time of maturation and of fruition and of triumph and of harvest and of things coming in. And, it's a fairly short season because then we hit into the holiday time, right? So when all the celebration time. So it's good. It's, I know we talk about spring cleaning all the time, but it's not a bad idea, especially from an energetic and frequency perspective right now, to sort of do a little, checks and balances and just clean up your vibrational act. Remember that anything you do energetically is worth 17 times more than anything you do physically. So it's a huge ratio. When you work from the energy first, you actually save yourself a lot of physical, mental overthinking, and actually even physical work in most cases. So that's why we're going to talk about that tonight. A couple of announcements. If you'd like to call in and ask a question, the phone number to do that is 347-215-9485. It's 347-215-9485. And Sam will get you in the queue, and we'll start those questions a little bit later in the show. And a couple of announcements. Our shows are going to be coming live on YouTube next week. We're just finishing up several things in our back end, and we have it'll probably be about 51 or 52 shows that we'll have on YouTube, so you can listen to those commercial-free there. The YouTube channel is my name, Mariana Cooper, with my full name, Mariana. You can put that in there and you'll find me. And right now it will show like, no, there's nothing there because everything's hidden because you have all this, we're doing all this back-end stuff. So you'll be able to do that. And the other thing is I think I have 2 more spots for angel readings. That's the last call of angel and Akashic readings for the year. And then the next thing is, so if you want one of those, then definitely get in touch with me, support@ahamomentsinc.com, and I'll send you the links for that if you want one of those too. I think the appointments are next week that we have. And then I am going to be moving from the angel and Akashic readings to a new type of session. It's a private session, and they're called Parallel Reality Manifesting Sessions. So essentially what I'll be doing is all the stuff we're talking about here on our shows with, really being empowered and switching yourself into the parallels of the things that you desire and working with your alternate selves and your parallel realities and multidimensional manifesting, all of that. I've been teaching a lot of classes and I have a lot of private coaching clients, but it seemed like, I was doing that on the one hand and then angel stuff on the other hand, and that's kind of more predictive. And it was kind of starting to just not mesh with each other. So as I was meditating the other day, it came to me and they said, listen, have these private sessions where you're helping people with their parallels, right, with the manifest. So you're essentially coming in and having a session with me one-on-one, and we go through. It's the same length as a reading, but instead we take what it is you're trying to create or your concern or problem or whatever, and we work it through your parallels, which is way more powerful than just a prediction, as you know. I've been talking about that over the last many, many, many shows. So those sessions are actually going to start. You'll get an email about those in the next day or two. And if you'd like one of those, they'll probably be in the same kind of range price-wise as the Angel and Akashic readings and 30-minute sessions. But it'll just be a different, more powerful session. I know that the folks who've had them have raved about them. I did about 100 of them over in the spring, and many through the summer. And it's really been helpful for people, and I see a huge results for them. So I'm excited about those new sessions. So you'll see more of that in your inbox. So just pay attention to your email, and you'll see that coming up. And then another big thing that's happening is our AHA Factor online course. That's going to be coming alive right after Mercury in retrograde is complete. So probably over the weekend, you'll see the big announcement for that, or early next week. So I'm excited about that. So keep your eyes peeled for that. There's a free video portion, and then there's a full course that you have the option to get into and really get fluent in your intuition and master that skill and all of your energetic communication systems. So I'm really excited about that. It goes along with the book. So if you read the book, this is like awesome because it's like an actual hands-on, audio course, 40 pages of worksheets, all kinds of really great stuff. A big bonus course. It's really great. So you'll be seeing an announcement about that. And also my new blog is going to be relaunching all at the end of this week, right? So we have all these blog articles. I think I said it last week. I wrote like 55 blog articles, so I'm all set now with content. So we're going to start releasing those blog articles at the end of the week as well. So this is exciting times. I'm really excited because it's looking very much like what I've always wanted things to look like, and that's very cool. So, okay, I think that's it for announcement. Let's get into our content for today, which is, are you getting in the way of what you want? Now, there are some pretty obvious things that we all know about, when it comes to getting in the way of manifesting and being negative and all those things. I know we talked about that last week. But there's a few things that people really, really get caught up on. And one of them is timing. Because people have a tendency, and myself included, we all have a tendency to think of our manifesting as a recipe. And that, recipes come with, an estimated time of completion, right? So you put it in 350, 30 minutes, and you have a big piece of cake or whatever. And manifesting doesn't really work like that because you're working with universal energy. So one of the things that's very, very important is to understand that there's also paradoxes in spirituality. So there's this, it's like on the one hand, there's the whole point of let go and let God and let it all happen. And then on the other hand, it's get in there and make it happen, right? People say, well, which one is it? Do I get in there and, make it happen? Or do I get in there and sort of let it happen? And when you get into the zone and you're trying to just, the question is, the answer is yes to both. That there are times when, and this is why it's so important to be fluent in the language of your intuition so you know which way to go, but there are times when going full force and taking a lot of action is the appropriate thing to do, and there are times when stepping back and just letting it, let the parallel have its way with you and kind of just stepping back is the most appropriate thing to do. And so how do you know? How do you know? Well, the way you know is to get quiet and is to ask. So when you are supposed to take any kind of action, it should be inspired action. So here's an example. So you have an idea of what you're desiring. You have this picture of, I want this new job or relationship or house or car or whatever it is you want. And you can either go at it like, okay, how many part-time jobs do I need to add? This is how much money I need. This is how I would have to, get my just lost my train of thought. This is what I'd have to do to get this to come to fruition. So that's you're coming from your mental mind. That has nothing to do with signs, symbols, and synchronicities, your energetic communication system. That's just your mental mind trying to analyze it, trying to make it happen. That is the long, hard, slow. That's the slowest road, even though it might seem faster because it feels like you can take control. When you say, okay, I want this car, and I'm now going to, I already have the car. Because remember, when you're working with these kinds of energies, anything that you want already exists. It already exists. It doesn't have to be created. What it has to be is revealed. There's a difference. So when you're looking for a revelation, for something to be revealed to you, you're watching, right? You're watching for it to come up, and then you're taking action as needed. So if you were going to, thinking about when they used to develop film in actual, what do they call, dark rooms, and they put the film that looked like it's just a white piece of paper in the mixture, and it was just white. And then you would shake the pan, and then eventually the picture on the print would start to come up, and then you'd eventually have the whole picture. But it had to load in, right? And if anything, you might feel like you might see it loading in. You might see like a little piece of the film rising, and it might be getting into the dry air, which you didn't want to happen. So you'd shake the pan a little bit to keep it submerged. But that was the only action you took. You wouldn't be like, yelling at it, shaking it, asking for predictions about whether the picture was going to come up, talking bad about how the picture never comes up for you and only comes up for the person next door. Who are they to have their picture come up and I don't have my picture come up? It's all Obama's fault that my picture isn't coming up. You don't have all that, right? You're waiting for the picture to come up, but you've done your role. You've taken the picture with the camera. You've unloaded the film, you put the solution into the pan, you've done all the prep work, but now you've got to let the picture load in, right? So you're allowing that mixture that's really bringing that film into life to do its job, right? So that's the equivalent to allowing your higher self to do its portion of the job. You're not flipping the picture over, you're not pouring the stuff out, you're not taking the picture out, the print out prematurely and only half the picture's there and then wondering what happened and needing a reading about it. You're putting it, you're allowing it to come up, to rise up. Okay? So, with that being said, everything has its own time. There's always, I worked with a shaman for many years, and one of the things he always said is that when it comes to human beings, like your manifesting goes in it's kind of like a baby gestating, so 9 months. For humans, it's 9 months, obviously. For elephants, it's a year. For horses, it's 11 months. All these different things. But so everything has its own timing of birth. And one of the things he said, and this was many years ago before the energies had, kind of switched over, he said, give yourself 9 months before you start really getting upset. He said, because especially for those really big shifts, big changes that you want, because there's a gestation period. There's a time of incubation that happens before you see any kind of relevance. It's like the baby's growing all its various limbs and parts, and internally and externally, and then at the end it's just gaining weight, right? And then it's preparing, and then you give birth. So it's the same thing with your manifestations. Now that might be shorter. I'm not saying every single manifestation is going to take 9 months, but you have to give yourself recognize that everything is in its own time. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and this is very hard for a lot of people, is you don't want to tell others about what you're doing. And I know that when people hear something new, like parallel realities or manifesting, whatever, the first thing a lot of people do is they start to look at all their friends and say, oh, my friend needs this. Oh, my boyfriend needs that. Oh, my son needs this. Oh, my girlfriend needs this. And I got to show it to them, and I have to teach it to them. And you barely know it yourself because you're just hearing it off a show or whatever, very lightly understanding it, dabbling in it. And then you start trying to teach it to someone else, and then they start to criticize it because they're not invested in it the way you are. And it's not even resonating with them the way it resonated with you because it's not in alignment with their energy the way it is with yours. And as you try to teach it to them, they start to tear it down, and then you lose your nerve with it, and you start to doubt it because you didn't have it solidified for yourself to begin with. And a lot of people try to teach it to prove it to themselves. They try to teach it to give themselves permission to accept it, because if other people agree, then and that's something that's outside of you, it's circumstantial, totally going in the total opposite direction of manifesting and these principles. But when you do that and you're seeking someone else's approval, you're seeking someone else's permission. And permission is what's required in order for you to receive what you want. Like I said, everything you want already exists. So what the universe is really waiting for you to do is give permission to let it actualize physically in your own world, in your own physical world where you can perceive it. So you can say, oh, well, I said yes, I gave permission. But if you're doubting it and trying to figure out what time it is and then getting all anxious because if it doesn't hit at the exact time that I want it to hit, the exact way, then, I'm going to be without it. So you get all anxious, and then that puts up all kinds of doubt, and that puts up all kinds of negative energy, and that slows it down to a crawl or to a halt or just makes it disappear. Why? Because you're putting yourself into a parallel reality where you're in waiting, where you're anxious, where you're stressed out. Every single doubt that you have is a different parallel, and it's certainly a different parallel than the parallel where you have what you desire. So every time you go into a sit and spin, you're backsliding yourself, okay, into other parallels that are not desirable. Now, they have some purpose. I mean, you'll learn how to, it'll push you to start to seek more information. It might push you to work with someone like me. It might push you to have a private session or to read books or to, get more research and to learn more. So obviously picking those contrasting experiences, those hard experiences, they have a huge purpose. But you don't have to ground yourself out in them, okay? So when it comes to telling other people, you don't want to have to go up against your own personal self-doubt and then have to deal with somebody else's doubt as well, compounding that. And a lot of times we use that, telling other people, as a means of self-sabotaging ourselves. I know I used to have a friend who was very negative all the time. And all the time, she always saw everything in the worst, negative, judgmental, self-righteous, just horrible. And when I got into a bad habit of coming up with stuff and then telling her, and as I started to outgrow that whole friendship, I realized that what I was doing was sabotaging myself. I knew that if I told her, she was going to find everything wrong with it, and then I would lose my enthusiasm, I would feel kind of heartbroken or whatever, but it would keep me safe from being vulnerable of trying. So really being your own self-analyst, really looking at yourself very honestly, not just from a mental health perspective or from physical or what your circumstances are doing, but really saying, show me clarity. Instead of just focusing on those things, the money, I need to figure out my career, I need to figure out my family, all. Instead of just saying that, what you can do is to ask for something a little different, and that's to ask for clarity, to ask for a sense of relief, to ask for a sense of, magic and miracles if you want to get, for a little bit further down the road. I think clarity and relief are really big ones. I know whenever I get into any kind of headlock with my angels or a headlock with my energy and the things that I'm wanting and getting in my own way, what I do sometimes is just stop asking for all the stuff and start focusing on, asking for personal power to receive what I desire, or for personal power to have more clarity or a better intuitive connection, or to see the highest level that my manifesting powers can be at this time. Show me how magical I am. Show me what I already know and make it physically known to me. Let me know what my higher self already knows, but in my physical world. Expose me to more of me. Those kinds of prayers, those types of requests can send you way further down the road, way faster than, is he going to text me? When is he going to text me? How is he feeling about me? When is he going to do what I want? When is he going to ask me to marry him? When is, all of that. This is where, this is where asking for that broader perspective can fold in all of that. And you talk about getting rid of anxiety and easing anxiety. This is very, very, very powerful. I know when I was this eclipse and Mercury retrograde and all that, I usually try to sit Mercury retrograde out, and I've gotten pretty good at it. Don't really have too much of an effect with it. But lunar eclipses and Leos don't go together. This last lunar eclipse was, pretty brutal. And I got myself into kind of a tailspin, and I said, you know what, this is temporary. There's a lot of extenuating circumstances here, but please provide me with a sense of relief. I wasn't asking for the exact specific solution to this issue and that issue and whatever. I said, I just want to, at the end of the day, I want to just be going to bed feeling relieved. Like, it's handled. However you get that to happen, so be it. But I'm just turning that over to the, my higher self, to the energetic grid, to the powers that be, to God and everybody else. I just want to feel a sense of relief. I'm not asking for big things, love and riches and all that, just a sense of relief. And every time when and this is the thing, at the beginning of the day, that one of the best ways, is simplest ways, there's lots of ways, one of the simplest things you can do to put yourself into a new parallel is to see yourself going to sleep satisfied with what happened during the day. So at the beginning of your day, when you open your eyes, you say, what do I want? How do I want to feel by the end of today? I want to feel relieved. I want to feel like I have solutions. I want to feel excited or elated. I want to feel, a sense of peace. I want to feel a sense of joy. A lot of people can't get to the word joy. Joy sounds very scary to them because they're so used to struggle. So I've always found that, and then I found this with my clients, especially over this last year when I've been teaching this whole concept of relief, that the relief is something that we can all reach for and we can kind of relate to. Because no matter how big your issues are, whether you can't pay your car note or you're trying to figure out the next, title of the next article you have to write for your job, or, you're trying to figure out, a strategy for, solving some problem in your tennis game or whatever it is, relief. Even if you're looking for, some sort of solution to an argument with your loved one or spouse or family member, you want to feel relieved. That's what we're reaching for. You know, joy and excitement and ecstatic bliss and all that, that's, you know, certainly something else another day. But I think for where most people are who come to the show, relief is a big one. And clarity is also a big one. So asking for relief is great. And just seeing yourself at the beginning of it. If you have something that's really bothering you, you're worried about it, instead of saying, is the lawyer going to do this, and is the court going to do that, and is my boss going to do this, and then what's the politics, and how am I going to say this, and start rehearsing, you know, all kinds of horrible conversations in your head. Well, if she says that, I'm going to say this, and then just say, you know what, I just want to feel a sense of relief at the end of the day. That's it. And just keep holding on to, I'm feeling relieved, and allowing yourself to perceive what it feels like to be putting your head down on the pillow, relieved at the end of that day. Don't get farther out into what's going to happen in a week. Is he going to pay the child support in 4 days? You know, all that, just relief. Because you could get yourself caught up in, it's going to be 10 days, 15 days, 20 days. You have a psychic tell, oh, yes, it's going to happen on August 12th, you know, whatever. And then all you're doing is trying to figure out if that person tell you the truth or not, and making yourself a victim of circumstance, you know, victim of whatever somebody else says, and giving all your power away to somebody else to tell you what to do, when it really has nothing to do with that. It has to do with your own willingness to give yourself permission to step into the parallel where it already exists. Manifestation can happen instantly if you gave yourself permission to step into it where it already exists and really, really step into it. Most of us have so many doubts, fears, confusions, opinions on how it's supposed to happen. You know, we're caught up in linearity. We're caught up in looking at our circumstances and how they're playing out, that we completely don't, you know, we hold on and we don't give ourselves permission to receive what we want because we have so many other things that we think should happen, should have happened, or whatever in between when we think about wanting it and when we actually get it. Okay? Okay, and then the last thing is, of the three things I promised, is you have to get out of the way of what it is you're asking for. So when I said do that whole exercise with relief, that actually is getting out of the way of the how and not judging your circumstances as the indicator of whether something's working out or not. Because parallels have a way of loading in ways that you could never anticipate. And the universe will give you signs and symbols and synchronicities to let you know it's on its way. It's cooking. It's on its way. But it's, you know, it's configuring. And if you miss those signs, you can think, oh, I have to do something. I have to ratchet something. I have to go talk to somebody about this. I have to go tell my friends about it. I need to sit with my girlfriends and analyze this. Sitting with your girlfriends and analyzing is the worst thing you can do for any kind of parallel manifestation, I can tell you that. Because it gets you all in your head. It gets everybody else's opinions, their judgments, where their frequency is that all involved and all mixed up. And if you want really fast manifestation, get out of the way. Get out of the way. Focus on a broader, more, like there's ambient light, diffused light, like when you go to a really pretty romantic restaurant, everything's like low light, low lit, everything's candlelight, ambient light, very wide lighting. And then there's laser light, so focused that it can cut through skin and do surgery, right? So when we're talking about getting out of your own way, that means you're going broader. You're asking for a sense of relief across all life categories. If you're going to bed feeling relieved, that means that you're not having angst about any of the categories in your life. You're feeling like, okay, things are on their way. Does that mean that you have hit the lottery and you have the house and the man that's calling you and all? Not necessarily. But you've got evidence that you're on the right track. There's certain things that have, you know, the solution has shown up. You see it. You feel it. There's other things that may be in the sort of box. You have a sense of weakness around it, a sense of confidence or a sense of at least optimism about it. It's not false optimism. It's because you've had some sort of indicator, whether it's energetically or in your physical world or a combination of both, which is usually what happens, that things are on their way. and then there's a sense of relief. And then the more you feel, relief begets more relief. This is another thing I've seen, not just with myself, but with, well over 100 clients now on this stuff, is whenever we've stepped into this idea of feeling, of asking for a sense of relief, it eases arguments, it eases tensions, because you're giving permission over to your higher self and the higher selves of everyone else involved to work it through on your behalf, and then to drop down inspired instructions of action that you should take. We call inspired action, but I like to say inspired instruction. So these instructions are coming from within, in-inspired, that's within spirit, right? So your higher self, inspired. So it's inspiring you. It's downloading to you direction that is very efficient and very relevant to what it is that you need to solve or create or receive or whatever. And so what you're looking for is inspired direction or instruction, and you're looking for a sense of taking inspired action. If you just go at it like, at a friend, she used to meditate for an hour and go through all those rituals and everything, and then she would stop meditating and she'd go back to her business and she would just go at it like, a bear. Just, I gotta make these calls, I gotta get this, I gotta do that, and if this happens, that, and completely disconnects from all the energy she was generating in the meditation, and then things would be so hard and arduous. And then they would always say, "You're working too hard." She said, "You can't say that. I have to work. It's not going to happen if I don't do it." Well, it's because she was completely ignoring inspired action, and then she always said, "I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything." But it wasn't the case. It wasn't that it wasn't being said. Your guides and your energy and the universe, they're talking to you 24/7. 24/7. They never shut up. There's always a message coming your way. Always, always, always. They're always sitting ready. My little cat Paris, Sam will laugh at me, but my little Siamese cat Paris is my best little buddy. And whether Paris is sleeping or Paris is eating, or Paris is watching TV or doing anything that Paris likes to do, he's always up for a game. Always. I could go over to him and say, you want to play a game? And he'll be sleeping and he'll wake up and he'll, okay. He's always up for a game. That's how your guides are. They're always up for a conversation. They're always up for support, for help, because there's no time there. It's not like they're sleeping. They're non-physical. So and they love it when you're asleep. Well, that's even better. Then they can get a whole lot of work done. But if they can actually continue the conversation while you're awake, oh my goodness, you know how much fun that is for them? Because you know what? Your forward progression is the forward progression of all the other galaxies and intergalactic societies and everything else. So your forward progression helps everyone move forward. And so when they can actually have a conversation with you during your waking state and you're giving yourself permission to do that and you're open to receive that, they're ready. Just like Paris, always ready to play a game. Always. Doesn't matter. Always. So I think let me just look at my notes. One more thing. Gee, I'm glad I wrote those notes down. Okay, two more things. When you are doing this type of work, the most important skill you can have is really mastering your intuition. Your intuition and your ability to receive guided messages, like what I was just talking about, and to perceive that. You're always receiving them, but to be able to perceive what you're receiving is so key, because it speeds everything up, because you can trust. You know what to trust, what's anxiety, what's real, information from on high. So really, really important. Take some time out to practice, to really kind of get yourself educated on the intuitive process and understanding your intuition. It's not a gift. Okay, everybody says, "Oh, my gifts, I have my psychic gifts." It's not a gift. Everybody has it. It's just that some people develop it more than others. Some people develop it to a professional level. It's like most people can walk, and not everybody. Most people can walk, but some people turn into, marathon runners, right? They just take it to an extreme. They take it to a professional, off-the-charts Olympic athlete level. So there's going to be some people who do this professionally, like myself, but it doesn't mean that everybody's born with it, So really investing some time in becoming intuitive, really getting familiar with your intuition and how it works, that will speed up your manifesting, because then that two-way conversation that your guides are trying to have with you is that much easier. The last thing I'll say, and before we get into answering questions, is pay attention. Because as soon as you come up with a desire, you literally step into that new parallel. Now, whether you stay in the parallel or not is up to you. Because if you come up with that new desire, that house, I just went to an open house and it's so fabulous, this is it. You're in the parallel. House exists, you're in it, right? You're in the parallel. Now, if you start to doubt, like, I don't know how, though, I don't know whether, you put yourself into the parallel of doubt and separation. That's over there, you're over here, there's a gap. But if you stay in that zone of, okay, show me the way. I love this. I'm saying yes. I give myself permission. I'm saying yes. Show me the way. Show me how this can configure. Now, then you will have to get out of the way and let it start to load in. And watch for your signs, symbols, and synchronicities. In the meantime, like we said last week, you want to keep yourself as happy as you can in the smaller things that are going on in your world, so you allow that to load in. Okay? But paying attention so that you can act on and then taking action on whatever it is, that signs, symbols, synchronicities, whatever hunches you might get, that's why you want to pay attention. You want to get quiet. Quiet, ask for a sense of relief. Even if you go into a house, you don't have the money for it, whatever, and you excuse me, and you're at this open house. If you're there, your higher self knows how you can get it. And so even if it's going to take a while, it still knows. It might be saying, this is available to you, reach for this, or this is a symbol of what's available, and there's something that's going to come up that's even better, but we wanted to get you started on your exposure to this. Understand, your mental mind cannot configure something it has not ever been exposed to. So it's important to allow yourself to be exposed to things. A lot of people say, I don't want to look at that because I can't afford it, and when I can afford it, then I'll look at it. But you know what? You slow down the manifestation. That's the worst person you could ever have, because you slow down. Whatever you have not been exposed to, your mental mind, your physical, your mind can't give it permission to show up if it's never been exposed to it. That's the limitation of the mental mind, of the physical world. Okay? So one of the reasons why your higher self is saying, hey, go look at that. You would really enjoy that jet ski. Oh, you would really enjoy that trip to Hawaii. Or you would really, look at that picture. Oh, here, go and picture. Look at this. Expose yourself. It's not trying to do it so that you feel hurt and sad that you can't get it because your job only makes this much money and only rich people could do that. That's that poor me mentality that has our mindset of America in a mess as it is. But when you allow yourself to be exposed, then it gives yourself a recognition that it's available, that it's possible, and then all you have to do is start asking the questions of, show me the way. What's the path of most allowance for me to get this, for me to attain this, for me to get to this place? Show me the way. How do I feel relief and clarity around this? Wouldn't you feel relief if you had an inkling of how you could do it? Well, guess what? If you ask, instead of saying, give me the trip to Tahiti, I just should have never looked at it because I could never afford it because my job just downsized. Instead of saying it that way, you say, you know what? Show me the path of most allowance. Show me, the path of least of clarity. Give me clarity around this. Give me a sense of relief around this. And you never know. Somebody may say, you know what? We know we just downsized you, but we're going to give you this really big severance package, and poof, there's your trip. Okay? So I hope that's helped. Let's go ahead and get started with some questions. I just need to take a sip of water. If you would like to call in and ask a question, the number is 347-215-9485. It's 347-215-9485. 9485. And if you are waiting on the line, please get near your phone and please don't have the volume on your computers or the radio turned up because then it provides interference on the lines and we can't hear you. All right, so the first person we have is Anthony from New York. Hi, Anthony.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, boy, you should do voiceovers. You've got a great voice. You're welcome.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
What's your question?
So I've been working towards getting into professional sports, and it's been pretty tough for me so far. And every time I would train, I would run out of money because to train at that level is pretty expensive. So, and you spoke about trying to asking your guides in the spirit to find you the least path of resistance or the better path. So I was just wondering, what should I be doing different in getting back into training properly so that I can actually just make this dream happen?
Okay, so what sport is it that you're working at?
Football.
Football, very cool. And you want to do pro football?
Yeah. At least give it a shot. At the very minimum.
Okay, see, there it is, right there. You see that? So, Anthony, are you already a pro football player, or are you striving and pursuing to?
Yes, I already am a pro football player. I actually trained with them not too long back in 2011. So I do, but again, it was very expensive to do it at that time.
Okay,
yes,
you've got a lot of yeah buts and what ifs and if onlys and all that. But here's the bottom line: do pro football players play football with sponsors and teams and get paid a lot of money, or do they worry about how they're going to pay to train someday, maybe play pro football?
No, I think they play. They play.
Right. So what's happening with you is that you're on the fence. You're looking at yourself as pursuing as opposed to being. You're thinking of what you want instead of thinking from what you want. And so you're straddling parallel. So there's a parallel reality of Anthony, the pro football player. What team would you like to play for if you could play for anybody?
Any team. I'm a ball player, and I'll come out and play for anybody at a high level.
Okay, so who? Pick a team.
Any team, doesn't matter. Any of the 32 teams, I'll play at a high level.
Okay, I'm not a football person, so I'm going to just pick the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, and
okay.
That happens to be my favorite team, by the way.
Okay, good. So we're on the same page. I knew that. So why wouldn't you say you'd like to play for Dallas if that's your favorite team?
The thing is, I'll be just grateful just to play in the National Football
But see,
League.
there it is. What if Obama said, I would just be grateful just to run for the presidency? Could he have gotten through that campaign just being grateful for the process of going and slogging and schlepping all over the country trying to convince all these people that he should be the president? Would he have made it? Would he have beaten Hillary Clinton that second round? Would he have made it?
I don't think so.
Or McCain or whoever. No. Because he wasn't thinking of himself as a president. He was thinking of himself as pursuing a presidency. So here's the point for you. You already are a Dallas Cowboy. Period. End of story. Actually, I think you can actually make that team, to be honest. That's why it came up. And it wouldn't come up if your higher self didn't already have you there. Your higher self is saying, come this way, come this way, come this way, come on, go ahead and train. Money will show up. Two things. This is a little bit advanced, but every time you hit a new parallel, so let's say you've now decided, after talking to Mari, I'm now going to take the courage to step into the true me. I'm already the football player, already the pro football player. I'm already getting paid to show up instead of paying for someone to train me. I'm already, going to camp and training for opening day. Okay, I'm already got my Super Bowl ring. I'm already there. I've got my endorsements, my pretty wife, whatever. You got it all. Okay, you're already there. You have to start operating from that point. Your higher self already has you there. So every time so that's a separate parallel. And when you put yourself in that parallel, guess what? It comes with its own seasoning packet of money. The money is built in when you become the football player. The money is not built into somebody who's struggling will do anything just to play. Who's like it's like some sort of benevolent thing to be so honorable as anything just so I could be on the team and I can smell the jerseys and I can run up and down and I would even do it for free just to be in it, around it. That's not the energy of the pro football player who's gone and who's won the Super Bowl. There's no wavering. So that's where you're seeing yourself got a big kind of gap. It's not that big because your heart's in it, and that's what's really great. You're not in it for the ego. You're in it for the heart, and I think that's what you're trying to prove. Remember, the universe is not a parent. So whereas a parent would really appreciate you saying, Dad, I'm really just here because I really love homework, and I really want to do all the work, and I really want to earn this, and I'm honorable. A parent cares about that, but the universal energy, it's neutral. It wants you to be commanding. It wants you to say, I'm all in, both feet, one lane. Okay? So that's how I would position it. And it's a small tweak, but it'll have huge results. Now, I think there's one exercise I think you should do for yourself, and that is I would like for you to take a piece of paper and write a list of all of the doubts that you have about this whole process. That if you fully go full out, you're vulnerable and you could miss. You could get an injury. You could never play. You could blow out a knee or blow out a hip or whatever. Okay? Whatever your fears are, whatever your potential doubts are, leave no stone unturned. You need to write those all down. And as you write them down, they come into your consciousness. They actually, right then and there, dissipate because they come into your conscious space. You brought them up to the surface and you face them. I think part of you is saying, I want to try, but I want to protect myself a little bit. And that's why it was hard for you to say who your favorite team is. It's hard for you to say, I'm a Dallas Cowboy. Because you're like, what if I don't make it? And then my heart is on the line and I'm heartbroken. That protective pessimism is the very thing that keeps the money away. I did two sports. I did horseback riding. I was in equestrian. I went in the Junior Olympics and all kinds of stuff, and I had 25 years and everything. So I know what it's like to be training like full time for something, flying every week, and I was also a competitive ballroom dancer for 10 years and traveled all over the world doing that. But the personal training, the cross training, and having to come up with money like crazy and time to do it both. And it seemed like whenever I'd get close to some kind of big something, money would drop out. Like all of a sudden money would evaporate. Like I'd run out of money right before I could hit my goal. I'd hit my stride and then the money would go. And then I sort of learned how to conquer that. And the way that I conquered it was by being the version that I wanted to be instead of pursuing the version that I thought I could be. Does that make sense?
That makes plenty of sense.
Okay, good. So as far as everybody is listening to this show, you've got, tens of thousands of people who are now witnessing you as a football player who plays football.
Thank you.
Not the guy who's pursuing football at all costs. Make sense?
Makes plenty of sense. You've changed everything.
Okay, good. Good, I'm glad. When you do that list of doubts, there's lots of different fancy ways that you can do clearing of those doubts, but I want you to write it out because what it does is it gives your spirit a break. Because what you're doing is you're trying to tackle all those doubts with benevolence. I'm going to be humble and I'm just going to go at it humble, But what you're doing is when you write all those doubts down, you give them their airspace, And it's just, and understand that every single one of those doubts is another parallel. So if you doubt that your body could hold up, that's a parallel where there is a version of Anthony that has pursued this and his body didn't hold up. That person exists. But when you put it on the list and you put an X through it, then you now say, I will not step into that parallel. I do not give myself permission to step into that parallel. There's only one parallel or one set of parallels that I give myself permission to step into, and those are Anthony, the successful Dallas Cowboy, who has phenomenal games, who's VIP or, most valuable MVP and who's breaking records and who's a Super Bowl winner. And you've got to go there. That's the set of parallels you want to be in, not the, oh, my God, where am I going to get the next dollar so I can go to the field for this many hours of this day, and I have this trainer, and, oh, my God, what if I can't get the massage and my ligaments spread? You can't be that, okay? That you can't do. Those parallels, we got to close them off. So when you write that doubt list, just put an X through it and just say, I'm giving myself permission out of this over here. I'm already the player. And as you go to sleep at night, you're Anthony, the football player, period. There's no wavering. Because that's how your higher self sees you. That's how God sees you. That's how everybody but you sees you. Because you came here to do it. I would tell you, I've had people say, I want to be a singer or this and that. I'm like, okay, don't go. No, let's think about it another way. How about not singing and go this other way? I have, if it wasn't coming in that strong, that of a yes, I would let you know. But I think you're on the right track, and I know I talked to you for a long time, but it's near and dear to my heart because I've been through what you're going through. So I hope that's been helpful.
Yes, you've been very patient. Thank you for realigning the way I should think about this. I really appreciate that.
Oh, well, you're welcome, and keep in touch with me. Let me know how things go. I'm really curious, and when you try out for them. Make sure you let me know. I'll send some good juju your way.
I really would appreciate that. I will. I'll definitely keep in touch. Thank you.
Okay.
Many blessings.
Great. Thanks. You too. Take care. Okay. So, all right. How about Janet in Massachusetts? Hi, Janet.
Hi, Mari.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you fine.
Okay, awesome. I just wanted to say, yay, Anthony. That was very inspiring.
Oh, good.
Your last caller, yeah.
He's great, right? He's got a great voice. If he doesn't do football, he should do voiceovers.
He so does, yes. And a lot of what you were speaking with him, is similar to, where I'm headed to, in the sense of life purpose and career stuff. So the suggestions, I took notes. So,
good.
I think the big thing to just get to the point is, and I know that you have made this suggestion other times with other callers, because I've been listening for a while, that sometimes there's a point in your life where you do like the part-time job just to get you to what you really want to be doing just for a little while. So I've done that, and the universe decided that was all done now because I just got laid off from my part-time job. So I do feel this push to be stepping into more power. I do feel like I'm not exactly sure how to get there. So I just, not exactly clear on exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, but I have some idea. So what are you getting in the sense of that as far as like, yes, get another part-time job, or, go for it and just trust?
Well, if you go for it and just trust with that kind of energy that you just said that with so much trepidation, it's not going to work because your frequency is saying I'm traumatized. Like this is like I'm jumping off a cliff and there's no net. I'm terrified. So what you want to go for is first of all the thing like I was talking about earlier, asking for clarity and going to sleep with a sense of relief that you feel so clear now on the direction. Like I can see clearly now, the rain is gone kind of thing. Yeah. That's the first thing that I would suggest to give yourself your own sense of personal power that you're having that communication because you want to have an ongoing, kind of Q&A with your higher self on what's next for you. Generally, if you've lost your job, it's probably because you started to reach for more. At some point while you were doing that job, you were feeling there's something really cracking in your phone. Are you on a speakerphone? Because there's like really bad interference.
No.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'll talk fast because we're almost done with the show. But if you are losing your job, it's usually because you've said somewhere in your spirit, somewhere, maybe in your prayer work, I really want to move on now. I want to reach for more. I'm ready for my real thing. And then what they do is they dump up the cup of the old so that there's spaciousness for this new thing. So what you want to do is start to ask, show me the way, show me the path of most allowance to my next step. Now, if you're feeling afraid financially and it's time to get another part-time job, what you want to do is get the part-time job, ask for clarity on what's the best part-time job that will put you in the best alignment with the frequency of where you feel you want to go but you can't be yet. What is it that you're holding back from?
I'm not sure. I haven't figured that out yet, but I do know that there's definitely some blocks. I think a piece of it is not knowing exactly what I'm best at. Like there's certain things I think I'm pretty good at, and then there's other things that I want to step into that I'm not sure if I have all the tools I need.
Yeah, but you're looking for a guarantee, like you're going for like a navigation system, like you are here and you'll get there, and these are exact steps to do it, and then you'll take the leap. And it doesn't work that way. Right. It works where you follow the breadcrumbs, So
well, I think you'll keep
yourself in purgatory. Yeah,
you're already, but I know that's worked for me before, the already. And using it like a GPS, like here's what I want to feel when I get to where I'd like to be, and then allowing, like you said, the path of most allowance to let the universe fill it in because we don't know how it's going to happen. Yeah,
you don't know,
but
you can also get. But see, the other thing with Anthony is you're pursuing. See, Anthony knew where he wanted to go, right? He said, "I want to be a football player. I finished it for him and said, "You want to be a pro football player?" Because it's like all over his field. He's a pro football player, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that he's using energetic principles to even get there. I thought that was like pretty off the charts too. But Anthony had to, in order for Anthony to be the football player instead of pursuing football, he has to step into being the football player first. Like I said earlier in the call, you're overlaying your circumstances with, or maybe I said it in my teaching earlier today. Oh, God, I don't even remember. Everything's blurring together. But what you want to do is you want to overlay your current circumstances with where you want to be as that person. So you want to be working from it. So if you're not sure what you want, like Anthony says, I am a football player, or I want to be a football player, so we can transfer that easily to I am a football player. But if you're saying, well, I'm not allowed to say what I really want to be because I don't think I'm qualified for it yet, so I won't really admit to that till I really want to be, because then, what if I can't get there? Again, it's the vulnerability piece. So you have to kind of get up the courage to be, throw down the gauntlet and say, I am this. And then everything that makes you that will show up in your world, including the money, the jobs, or whatever. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. I'm going to have to jump off, but hopefully that's
very helpful. I know one piece is it's being a teacher, but it's the exact piece. So thank you. The I am piece is the cherry on top. I appreciate it. Have a great night.
Great. Thank you, Janet. Take care. Have a great night. Okay, well, these are the kinds of calls I really, 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 really like. This is awesome. So I'm wishing both Anthony and Janet the best of luck. I know we're at the end of our show. So if you'd like to do a one-on-one alignment session with me, what I just did with Anthony is very similar to what those parallel alignment sessions are like, where we kind of go in and we see what's that little tweak. Usually it's not that big of a thing that can really get you clamped into alignment. So if you're interested in one of those sessions, you can actually email me at support@ahamomentsinc.com or check your inbox in the next probably two days or so, and you'll see the email about it as well. And in the meantime, please focus and be willing to have that conversation. Ask for the relief. Ask for the clarity. Be willing to become what you know you want to be right now. Step into the parallel where you're already there, and the parallel will load in for you. It's not waiting for permission from something on high, like a parent, to say, yes, you're allowed to now be a football player. It's about claiming who you are and letting the universe roll around that to support you in expressing that in a physical way. All right, everybody, we will be here same time next week. And in the meantime, you can just, my motto, I'm going to say my motto because I'm blanking out. Oh, my God. Anyway, you truly can have exactly what you want. You absolutely deserve it, too. And in this new energy, anything is possible. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.